We're seeing gold in the box, and these boxes are gigantic. I mean, even though you're seeing just a few specks, you know there's a lot of gold in there.
$300 million in ancient, tightly packed gold is hidden beneath the Bering Sea. Locked under layers of ice and nearly 40 feet of water, so cold it barely moves like liquid. Down there, it's pure darkness, total silence, one of the most extreme environments on Earth. And somehow, one man figured out exactly where to find it. Not a trained geologist, not a billion-dollar mining company with satellites, just a dredger, a diver, a man who's been chasing gold in these frozen waters since he was a teenager, a man who's lost everything, rebuilt from scratch, been knocked down again and again, and still kept coming back. This is the story of how Shawn Pomrenke uncovered one of the biggest offshore gold discoveries in the history of Nome, Alaska, how he found it, what nearly stopped him, and the twist no one saw coming. Make sure you watch till the end, because the final moments will completely change how you understand everything. Don't forget to subscribe for more insane discoveries like this. Every major gold discovery begins the same way, with an idea that sounds almost crazy at first. In the world of Bering Sea mining, the long-standing rule has always been simple: stay shallow, work close to shore, in waters about 15 to 25 feet deep, where divers can stay down longer and equipment runs efficiently. Go deeper than that, and everything starts working against you. Pressure increases, dive time shrinks, machines wear out faster, and costs skyrocket until profits disappear. It's a rule that makes sense. It's practical, logical. And for years, Shawn couldn't shake the feeling that it might be completely wrong. Here's where everything changes. Around 12,000 years ago, what is now the floor of the Bering Sea wasn't underwater at all. It was dry land, vast tundra forming a land bridge between Alaska and Russia. Ancient humans and animals once crossed it. And cutting through that land were powerful rivers, not small streams, but massive flows carrying sediment, minerals, and gold from the Alaskan interior. Over time, those rivers deposited their loads across the land. Then the Ice Age ended. Sea levels rose. The land bridge vanished beneath the ocean. The rivers disappeared. But what they left behind stayed. Thousands of years of gold deposits, concentrated exactly where those ancient rivers slowed down, curved, and dropped their heaviest material. Because gold doesn't move like everything else. It's the heaviest thing in river sediment. When water slows, at bends, junctions, or deeper pools, gold is the first to fall. It sinks straight to bedrock, wedges into cracks, and stays locked in place. Even for 12,000 years, Shawn had spent nearly a decade mentally tracing those ancient river paths. He had an instinct for gold, an ability to see patterns others missed. Dive after dive, cleanup after cleanup, he gathered clues. Each one added to a bigger picture forming in his mind, and that picture pointed to one place. A stretch of seabed sitting 40 to 60 feet below the surface, an area almost no commercial dredger seriously touched. The water there was deeper, the currents unpredictable, and the working season brutally short. Just a narrow window between melting ice and the next freeze, barely enough time to set up, let alone succeed. But the geology told a different story. The seafloor data suggested something remarkable. Two ancient river systems had once met right there. And when rivers meet, gold doesn't just collect. It builds, layer upon layer, year after year, century after century, until what you're looking at isn't just a deposit. It's a buried treasure on a scale almost impossible to imagine. It wasn't that the gold didn't exist in that zone, far from it. The truth was, no one had ever been able to reach it efficiently. The technology just hadn't caught up yet. So Shawn did what he's always done when faced with that kind of barrier. He built a solution himself. The Christine Rose isn't just any vessel. It's a massive backhoe dredging platform, a serious heavy-duty operation that has pulled in more gold in a single season than many miners ever see in a lifetime. It's the machine that built Shawn Pomrenke's reputation, the same reputation that survived financial collapse, setbacks, and comebacks when most people would have walked away. But this mission was different. To reach that deeper zone, the ancient river convergence point he had been studying for years, the Christine Rose needed major upgrades. During the off-season, Shawn got to work. He redesigned parts of the dredging system so divers could safely operate at greater depths for longer periods. The suction system had to be recalibrated to handle heavier material. The air supply, literally the diver's lifeline, had to be extended and made more dependable under pressure. And the sluice box, the critical system that separates gold from gravel, had to be fine-tuned to catch even the smallest particles that standard setups would miss. This is the side of gold mining most people never see. Not the dramatic cleanups, not the shining nuggets, but months of engineering, testing, ordering parts, fixing failures, and pushing equipment to its limits, long before a single speck of gold is recovered. And then there was the ocean itself. The Bering Sea doesn't compromise. It doesn't care how much time or money you've invested. Conditions can flip in hours, calm water turning into towering waves driven by violent winds. For a diver underwater, that's not just dangerous, it's deadly. Hoses can rip loose. Visibility disappears. A diver can be slammed into the seabed or the hull. The crew above can lose contact in seconds. And in that freezing darkness, the difference between survival and tragedy becomes razor thin. Incidents like the capsizing of the War Pony, a small skiff that flipped during a sudden storm near Nome, Alaska, are reminders of just how unforgiving these waters can be. Shawn knew all of this. He'd lived it since he was a teenager, diving under ice with makeshift gear. For him, the danger wasn't a reason to quit. It was just another factor to manage. But then came the first real surprise. When the upgraded operation finally reached the target zone, the deeper waters, the exact geological sweet spot he had mapped out, the first dives came back nearly empty. Not low results, almost nothing. For most miners, that would have been the end. A failed theory. Time to move on. But Shawn saw something others didn't. He understood that gold in ancient riverbeds isn't spread evenly across the surface. Often, it's buried beneath layers of useless material, sand, gravel, and silt that settled over thousands of years after the sea swallowed the land. The real gold sits deeper, hidden, untouched. So instead of pulling back, Shawn pushed further, sending his diver deeper into the seabed itself, past the empty overburden, through layers that held nothing, burning fuel, using air, stressing equipment, all with no immediate return. Days went by like that, nothing to show, until suddenly, something changed. The material coming up through the system looked different. The color shifted. The texture felt heavier. The composition of the gravel was no longer the same. And inside the sluice box, something began to collect. Not sand, something heavier. In gold mining, this is what everyone is searching for. The pay streak. It's not just gold, it's a continuous line of it. A concentrated path that follows the exact route of an ancient river, where gold settled and stacked over thousands of years. Find a pay streak, and you don't just mine one spot. You follow it, you map it, you unlock it. Because a true pay streak isn't a single score, it's a long-term source. What Shawn's diver was bringing up wasn't dust. It wasn't fine flakes barely worth the effort. These were nuggets, solid, heavy, uneven chunks of natural gold that had been sitting untouched for over 12,000 years. The Christine Rose had already proven itself as one of the most successful operations in Nome, Alaska. But this was different. The gold concentration wasn't just high, it was consistent. Load after load, the results repeated. This wasn't a random pocket that would disappear after a few runs. This was something bigger, something real. A fully developed pay streak buried within an ancient riverbed, packed with gold that had been accumulating since long before the first civilizations ever existed. Then came the cleanup. All the material collected in the sluice box was processed, washed, sorted, and when the final numbers came in, everything stopped. Based on the concentration from those first discovery dives and projections of how far that ancient river channel extended, the estimated value of what lay beneath that seabed reached a number almost impossible to comprehend. $260 million. That number needs context. The gold rush that gave birth to Nome, Alaska, the famous beach rush of 1899 and 1900, brought tens of thousands of prospectors to that remote coastline. Over its entire run, it produced roughly 4 million ounces of gold. What Shawn Pomrenke uncovered isn't spread across decades or multiple sites. It's a single offshore formation, hidden beneath the Bering Sea, with enough gold to rank among the most significant modern discoveries in Alaska's mining history. And here's what makes it even more unbelievable. That gold had always been there. While miners were panning the beaches in 1899, it was there. When Shawn's father arrived in Nome in the 1980s to start building an operation, it was there. When Shawn himself was making his first dives under the ice as a teenager, it was still there. Deposited by an ancient river, buried by rising seas, and left untouched for over 12,000 years, sitting 60 feet below the surface in freezing black water. The difference between finding it and missing it wasn't luck. It was a theory, backed by years of observation, relentless data collection, engineering effort, and the decision to keep going even when early results showed nothing. But here's where the story takes a turn most people don't expect. That $260 million figure, it's not cash in hand. It's not sitting in a vault waiting to be claimed. It's a geological estimate, what the deposit contains, not what's been recovered. To turn that into real money, it has to be mined. And mining a deposit like this, 60 feet deep in the Bering Sea, is anything but simple. Near Nome, Alaska, the mining season lasts about 4 months, June through September. That's the brief window between the ice breaking up and freezing over again. Even in that time, progress is never guaranteed. Storms shut down operations, equipment fails. Divers have strict limits on how long they can stay underwater, and the sea itself remains as unpredictable as ever. Even at an aggressive pace, extracting a deposit of this size could take multiple seasons, possibly years, and every single season comes at a cost. Fuel, crew wages, repairs, maintenance. The constant expense of running a heavy offshore operation in conditions designed to break both machines and people. But the biggest challenge isn't just operational, it's territorial. The Bering Sea near Nome is divided into offshore mining leases, specific coordinates that are claimed, registered, and legally protected. Shawn has dealt with this reality before. In the past, rival miners have allegedly attempted to use his coordinates to access his claims. In a place as small and tight-knit as Nome, where everyone works within sight of each other, conflicts don't stay quiet for long. And a discovery of this scale, it doesn't stay secret at all. Miners who had ignored deeper waters for years suddenly rushed to secure nearby claims. Interest in that zone exploded almost overnight. Because where gold exists, competition follows. But here's the deeper twist, the one that really changes everything. Shawn doesn't own all of that gold, not completely. He owns the rights to mine within his lease boundaries. The gold inside those coordinates is his to recover. But the deposit itself, the ancient river channel, doesn't care about man-made lines on a map. It runs where it runs, across multiple sections, across multiple claims. That $260 million estimate reflects the entire formation. Only a portion of it lies within Shawn's territory. The rest? It sits in neighboring ground, potentially open to anyone who claims it. And in Nome, when gold is involved, those claims don't stay open for long. Now step back for a second. Forget the numbers, forget the boundaries, forget the competition. Look at what actually happened. One man spent years building a mental map of a seabed that thousands of others had already worked, not using satellites, not relying on academic studies, but through dives, thousands of hours underwater, in darkness and freezing cold, watching where gold appeared and where it didn't. Shawn Pomrenke didn't become a leader in this industry because of a title. He became one because he kept paying attention long after everyone else stopped. He invested in equipment upgrades without any guarantee of success. He put money, hard-earned money, into chasing an idea that might have led nowhere. He saw empty results and didn't quit. And in the end, he was right. That's the real story here. Not just that the gold exists, but that it always existed. And finding it required something rare, a mix of geological insight, mechanical skill, physical endurance, and a refusal to accept what everyone else believed was impossible. The Bering Sea gold has documented mining in these waters for over a decade. Thousands of dredges have operated near Nome since the 1980s. This wasn't an untouched frontier. This was a place the entire industry had already walked past, assuming the deeper water wasn't worth it. Everyone had access to the same ocean, the same data, the same conditions, but only one person looked at it and saw something different. And this is the final thought this story leaves you with. If $260 million worth of gold could sit just 60 feet beneath one of the most heavily mined areas of the Bering Sea, completely undetected, unmapped, and untouched for over 12,000 years, then what else is still hidden down there? How many other ancient river channels are buried beneath that seabed, loaded with gold, simply waiting for someone to figure out how to reach them? Not to everyone, only to the ones who are patient enough to learn how it works. The ones who are willing to go deeper when others stop. The ones who choose to dive when everyone else stays on the surface. The kind of people who don't look at a number like $260 million and think, that's unbelievable. But instead, ask one simple question. What else is out there? Shawn Pomrenke is already asking it. And somewhere beneath the ice, in the silence of the ocean floor, the answer is still waiting.